Hi guys. It has been a while. I'm perfectly positioned for the antlers to look like they're growing out of my head. You that follow me on Instagram might understand why it's been a while, but I am going to explain. I'll start by saying that the reason that it has been so long since a certain change that's happened in our life has just been because I've been torn about whether to speak about this, and I've been torn about how to speak about this. And I wanted to make sure that when I do speak about this and I do put it out there, that what I say is being said for the right reasons and not out of any anger or hurt. I'm wanting to put it out there in a way that is passing knowledge, because when I started this channel, I feel like I took you all on a journey, especially through the shooting season, to show you certain parts of the shooting world and what I do and what my husband was doing and the kind of lifestyle that we led. I tried to make this channel a genuine sort of insight and living a lifestyle that is kind of has a lot of negative stigma around it as well. And I wanted to share certain things for a few different reasons, and I feel like it would be hypocritical and disingenuous to not share this part of it. As a couple, myself and my husband have tried to promote field sports and shooting in a very positive way. We all know, those that are involved in it, that it's quite a fragile industry and will continue to probably be quite a fragile industry. You know, there's a lot of people that are trying to change things within it, highlight certain things within it, change the perception of people out with it and people within it, to be fair. And I feel like myself and Chris have always been two people that have really tried in any way that we can to promote it in its best light and speak so highly of it and speak so honestly with it and show people certain sides, you know, with the picking up, with the lives that my dogs live in the season and out of the season, what my career is because of it, what my husband's career was because of it. You can probably tell what I'm about to announce by the fact that I've used the terminology was. So my husband is no longer a gamekeeper, and the reason behind it is something that does not reflect positively on the industry. Gamekeeping world and the shooting industry is something that I'm very passionate about, that my husband's very passionate about, that his dad is very passionate about, that his granddad before him was very passionate about. You know, Chris has grown up that being his lifestyle. His dad had a shoot, his granddad had it before him. Got so many friends that are either linked to the industry, benefit, whether that be part-time during the shooting season or full-time. Our lives are thoroughly linked to some amazing people in this industry, and we've actually had, both between us, a very, very lovely journey with the industry. Chris, as I said, was kind of born into it and it's been his whole life, but both of us have only ever had positivity. We've only ever had supportive people around us. We've only ever had people that have the same drive and the same passion and the same perception of this field sports world. There's been ups and downs, don't get me wrong. I feel like there's such a lovely community around it, and we've always tried to push that, and we've always tried to shout about that, because that's why I feel like the majority of the people that we are with, that we surround ourselves with and have been involved with over the years, I feel like that's what they're doing in this world. You know, it's a thoroughly enjoyable industry. It's not just a job, it is a lifestyle. It doesn't matter what time you're getting up in the morning and what time you're going to bed. It doesn't matter how many hours of graft you put into it. And we genuinely stand here and we say that we eat the game. We genuinely stand here and we say that we are passionate about seeing the wildlife, about the conservation, we promote the conservation side of things. One of the reasons that Chris moved jobs from what he was in, so before we moved to Yorkshire, Chris was single-handed on an estate that he started on. He had his first grouse beating day on this estate. Then he was a trainee, then he was a beekeeper, then he was single-handed and he ran the spot. And that was such a lovely place to be, and such a sentimental place to be. The reason that Chris moved was because of an opportunity of something that he felt was really pushing to make an impact in the industry. So the estate that we moved to, the owner, the man that hired Chris, was massively passionate about promoting conservation and eating game, a lifestyle, a country lifestyle. The way it was sold to us was that there was a hotel, there was villages around, people had this. It basically was kind of sold to us a bit of a dream. Like, how could we not want to stand with somebody who is actively pushing to say field sports is not what a lot of people perceive it to be. We have such an amazing variety of species of wildlife on these moors. They had multiple restaurants, they promoted eating game in these restaurants. Basically was an overall, almost like a shooting in my mind. When Chris applied for this job, I was like, this is going to be everything. This is going to be the best promotion of field sports. It's everything that we want to shout about, that we want to tell people. You know, you could stay here, you could go on holiday. Like for me, my clients could stay on the estate, they could go for walks where we shoot, and they could see the wildlife. There was so much potential to basically offer this platform to show everybody that there is, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, and what your beliefs are, that there would be something on this place, in this area, on this estate, that would show you why field sports is so beneficial to the countryside and what it provides for us all. So whether that be hotel staff, chefs, cleaners, guests, tours around the estate, the keepers, the deer management, the land agents, like there were so many jobs on this estate. And we initially thought, it was massively promoting shooting. And I mean, we did kind of, it's a hard one, and I understand from a business perspective, it wasn't quite, it wasn't as open about it, or as pushy as such about it as what I would have hoped. But I understand that people have to be tactful. I've spoken on here before about companies that initially started off designing country wear for those going shooting in the field, stalking, whatever, and they no longer promote that in their adverts, they no longer promote that in the names of their clothing, because it's almost deemed so negative now to be associated with it because of the stigma that surrounds it. And I hoped that this place would be very just so positive, and that if anyone could save field sports, it would be this estate. It would be the future of it, and Chris would have a hand of this. And that was my dream, that was his dream to us, that was what he aimed for. Alongside as well, on a personal level, a secure job. Put your whole life in the hands of these owners, and hoping that they're going to want you long term, and they're going to want to keep you in a job long term and in a house long term. So he'd be head keeper, he'd have no reason to want to move because you can't go any further up. He was just so passionate about the opportunities that it had, and the fact that it hopefully was going to be, it screamed security. Ironically, it screamed security, which was what we wanted. We went out with a bang, and I do feel like I'm very grateful for it to have had such an amazing season. That was probably my best season yet. As a picker up, it was my best season yet. I love working for my husband. He's a very easy man to work for. He just lets you get on. Obviously he knows I can do the job, but even other pickers up, I feel so proud to know that there was pickers up there and beaters there that were like, we're coming here first. Like, this is such a friendly shoe. He's such a polite man on the radio. He's such a lovely man to, the way he speaks, things like that. I feel so proud. what had happened was someone had come in last year and come in with an offer of a lease. Now, said man was an ex-head keeper who we had actually met previously at some conservation conference a few years ago, and he's had very successful shooting seasons. He lost his job and then had been going, you know, trying to find other things to do in the industry. Approached Chris's boss and sort of said, oh, I've got clients that would be interested in leasing. It went on for a long time. I remember being up on an estate picking up on the grouse, and the head keeper pulled me aside and said, don't trust this man, don't trust this man. But this man had made such a lovely effort. He'd made such a good conscious effort to get to know Chris, to get to know me. My first impression of this man was that he was very rude and very, you know, thought he was God's gift to grouse, and in reality there's some very, very good grouse keepers out there, and they're amazing grouse keepers without thinking that they are everything to the industry. And yeah, I just thought, like, not my cup of tea. But give the fella his due. When he got on board with this deal, he made such an amazing effort, like was on the phone to Chris so regularly, like was promising him how, like, these things, like how good this was going to be for the estate, how, you know, these things that Chris wanted to do, it was going to happen, and basically just giving him everything that he would possibly need to run the place as best as he possibly could. And that was brilliant. That was all any head keeper could ever want, is someone to say, yeah, go ahead, yeah, do that, yeah, that's a great idea. And this man kind of come across like that was what he wanted. He wanted to better an industry that he loved, that had, sadly, he'd lost his position in. And he really sold the story of, you know, I want to better the industry. I'm here to help you. You know, you're going to achieve this. We're going to achieve that. Great partnership. That. Say pretty much almost a year this went on till the day that it was all signed over. I made such an effort to build a good relationship with Chris and build a good relationship with me. I felt like he really did make a phenomenal impression, and he built a good relationship, so we thought, good trust, so we thought. And sadly, the second that the deal was done, 2 days later, he told Chris that they were coming for a meeting about game feed, and they actually came over and told him that they were getting rid of him with immediate effect, because sadly Chris didn't have a leg to stand on legal wise, because we hadn't been there for 2 years. So that, you know, wasn't great either. And that's a sad thing as well, and that's something I also think that should be brought up to people's attention, is that, yeah, okay, that's a baseline law, but I mean, we did speak to legal advisors about it, because obviously we were left with nothing, you know. We were homeless. I have all my dogs. I had a business to think about that I then had to relocate again. You know, we needed to know what help there was for us out there, and there was nothing. I mean, the legal advisors did say, you know, normally people don't take advantage of this. Like, it's there to protect people, not to be used against people. But obviously this person and the team behind him, whatever, they used it against us, which is, you know, what it is. And yeah, so that was that. And even funnier is that in the actual letter of dismissal, it even states in the letter, we realise this come as a shock to you. Yeah. It's actually really funny. I read that and I was like, how can someone actually write that? How can someone actually write that? Like, oh, we realise that you're gonna lose everything and this will come as a shock to you. Basically, the point of the story is, Elise came in, went for a dream job. Elise came in. Guy just filling little loads of lies to obviously get what he wants. I feel like what is important and what I want to share is that, sadly, when it comes to talking about the industry and trying to promote it in a positive light, I will be honest and say that I feel like I have very little left of positivity. We've had some amazing times, amazing days. You just couldn't beat it. We both have still a huge passion for the industry, but sadly there's more people like the man who took Chris's career from him than we'd like, that the industry would obviously like. Trying to just get what he can before he clocks out. And it's sad. It's really, really sad that people with the money are backing people like him. I am not saying this from a bitter perspective, because there are people out there that are not like him, that are not like these people. To back those that care about their keepers, that care about their land agents, that care about the birds, that care about their land that they own and the people that live on it, the farmers that tenant on it. We need owners like that. We need to, if this sport stays, if this continues, we went to this conference that we met this man at originally 2 years ago. We stood there and said how much this industry gives us, and then ironically the man sat next to Chris took it all away from us. That's the industry, and I feel like I wanted to share that, because I feel like people do, and I would like to think people have come here or to my Instagram for some positivity and real life sort of intel on a gamekeeper's wife or a dog trainer, gun dog trainer, pick her up, anything. I feel like even before my YouTube, my Instagram's been going a long time and have a good few followers on there. I've had so many lovely messages over the years of people saying, I want to get into what you do, I want to get into what Chris does, your life's amazing, this is amazing, that's amazing. And I would have been lying to all these people if I hadn't told this story. Going on, why has Chris not applied for another job? Why is he not back in the industry? Well, unfortunately what this experience showed us was that there's too much power in other people for us to put our trust back in the industry again. So as much as Chris did love the job and he did think of other jobs, he said to me at one point that he'd been asked to apply for one, and I felt instantly sick. I just didn't want. Instantly I was like, absolutely not a fan of putting my life in somebody else's hands anyway, and it's not something I've ever been 100% comfortable with. And when people also, say, oh, did you think of buying a house? We were looking at buying a house. We were looking at buying a holiday rental in the Lake District when we were in Cumbria. And then obviously Chris applied for this job. And then obviously we moved to Yorkshire. And then we wanted to give it a bit of time before we looked to buy, obviously get to know the area. The market obviously wasn't very good either, so it wasn't the best time to buy. But I'm so glad that we didn't, because if we had bought somewhere while down there, one, we'd be tied into paying a mortgage, and we'd be trying to sell the house, because we wouldn't have ever bought something that we would live in. So what we are looking to buy now, and I'll go on and tell you like our goals and where we're heading next, but what we are looking to live in, what we would like to live in with our dogs and my business, etc., is not what we would have bought while Chris was a keeper, because we didn't need to. We obviously had that property with his job, so we wouldn't be buying a house with acres of land. We would have just bought a little cottage and probably had it as a holiday rental. That was what our goal was in Cumbria and then in Yorkshire. But I'm very, very grateful that we didn't, because I do feel like we would have been screwed. We would have had a lot of money tied up in a property, been tied to a mortgage, and yeah. So it's a hard route to handle. It's a hard safety net to kind of get in the keeping world, I feel, to find your feet. And again, this is another reason why I wanted to share it, because we've got friends in the industry still, and it has kind of given them a little bit of a wobble because nobody expected it at all. And for people to put their trust in the industry, you know, it's business at the end of the day. And I also feel like that's it. I think if it had been a business thing, for whatever reason, and you know, it all been done very genuinely and openly and honestly, I don't think we would have still been really like hurt. And I do think we would have come away from the industry, because again, it's a huge thing it reminds you of how fragile your life is, like that your life is literally just molded around this job, and someone can just, off you go, and you lose your home, you lose your house. I mean, we have gotten rid of 99% of what we own, and you know, the contract didn't protect him. The man that hired him didn't protect him. It's just sad, and we were just not going to give that again. So yeah, now what we are doing, our next stage, is very exciting. We have been very, very fortunate that we have family that have land, and we were able to set up for the dogs. My business is continuing as normal. We are living in a cabin, which is exciting. I realised that this has just been a really long, like, chatty video. At first I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna be. And then I just, honestly, like, if you followed me on Instagram or whatever before, or you know me and Chris personally, you'd probably be like, oh, that's right up your street. Like, I mean, I like the finer things in life too, like, don't we all? But I love a very simple life as well. Like, we're very into remote living. Like, where we lived before, I mentioned that we were the highest house in England. When we first moved into there, we had a month of no internet, and it was bliss. It was so good. And you know, some winters it would reach -22, and we would be snowed in for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we lived so minimally. I mean, we didn't, because it was a 4-bedroom house, but we did at the same time, because you know, we had our frozen milk, and we had our kettle water, and our generator electricity that was constantly going out and things. So I feel really good about this. I feel like, yes, that chapter has ended sad. It's been a sad end, but the next chapter is looking so positive. Chris is happier than, I mean, at first. This is why I think I wanted to tell the whole story. It shows how sad the industry, like, I believe for me, it's made me very sad about the industry, because if people within the industry can ruin someone's love for it the way that it has happened with Chris, I find that really, really devastating. It actually, like, it's heartbreaking for me. And on a flip side of it, I'm grateful because he's so happy. In denial, because I just wanted him to, you know, he was so passionate about the job, and I wanted him to succeed and achieve everything that he dreamt of, that I was almost in denial about how bad it had made him feel. But now I am like, wow, this is amazing. It's like a little hunting lodge, and I actually love it. So what we are doing is obviously just, I'm continuing business as normal, which was my biggest worry. Like, I've worked so blooming hard for this business, and it is everything to me. And obviously, again, like, imagine I was if I had a normal job where I was working in the town nearby, and I also then had to leave my job. I'm excited for our next chapter. We are just looking at houses, keep an eye out on the market to see what we kind of are not sure where we want to be yet, like where we want to base, because where we buy, you know, this is going to be a big deal for us. We talked about what we would buy eventually when Chris retired, and we're going to be fast tracking that. So it's not going to be the easiest decision when it comes to buying this next property, but it's going to be ours. It's gonna be all ours, and I'm really excited for that. Really excited for that. We're not in a rush, and that is the good thing. Again, I'm really surprised at how happy we are. Actually expanded slightly, which is even better. And again, I designed it all. I chose it all. It was all mine. It was all my decision, which is brilliant because I worked for someone else, then I worked for someone else, then I lived in keepers' properties, and nothing. I have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kennel setups for the duration of my gun dog career. My gun dog training career, I've had 5 kennel setups. 2 were obviously somebody else's, they were my bosses, and obviously I've had 3 lots of keepers' properties since being with Chris, and I have never had a say on my own kennel setup, and now I do. It's only taken me 11 years or whatever, so I am very, very excited about that and pleased, and just, yeah, that just makes me the happiest ever. And house-wise, I'm loving cabin life, like genuinely surprisingly loving cabin life. And yeah, I will keep you updated on what our next project is. As I said, we're not sure where we want to live yet. We could maybe, obviously, like financial wise, you can get maybe more land if you go for a renovation, but we're not actually sure how much land we want either, because again, it could mean some more business expansion, again with what Chris wants to do with his career. It also depends on where he wants to be based and things. So we're just finding our feet at the moment, but we're really content with it. Like I said, we're not in a rush. Really surprised with how not easy. It's not been easy. I really don't want people to think that, because we were absolutely in panic mode. Like, what do we do? Where do we go? What the hell? And our whole plan of where we thought our life was going just, fell off the face of the planet. But it's been refreshing. It's almost been like a bit of a smack in the face of like, hey, this is your life. Like, you can do what you want. You can go where you want. You can live where you want. You can buy what you want. You can have what you want. You can take your life where you want. Because I feel like sometimes we get stuck in like a path or a rut or like a routine of like, well, this is your journey. Next. And then for this to just completely shake us up, it's almost been like a wake-up call of like, hey, you're alive. Like, I know it sounds really dramatic, but my days are so much more full, probably because I don't have as much housework, but also just because I feel like, I don't know, I don't know whether we were just even more like, not that we were miserable, because we weren't, but I don't know if it was just so much more draining than what we even acknowledged, or what. I honestly don't know, or whether obviously the potential of what we've got now to go forward with is exciting. I mean, it's so exciting looking at houses. I actually sent one to my dad at the weekend, and he was like, oh, the kitchen's nice, and I was like, not even looked at the kitchen, I'm just looking at the forest and the ground and stuff, and it's so exciting. I'm very fortunate that I have a good business and that I have been able to move it everywhere that we go, and very, very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate that we're in this position. But I also want to show, I hope you guys can see like the struggles with the achievements and the wins, like the struggles with the wins. I kind of want to show this journey. When we do eventually find a property, it should hopefully be something that is what we have dreamed of, and we have always imagined ourselves having one day when he decided to come out of his keepering career. We're just fast tracking that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy seeing that journey as well. I don't know how these videos are going to progress going forward, because I know that everyone kind of has come here for maybe the keeper's wife life, maybe maybe you're not bothered about what we do and where we are. I mean, we're still heavily involved. My business is the same. It is the same. As I said, if anything, I've expanded. Shooting season is around the corner. Unfortunately, there isn't much grouse. I do believe there is grouse where we were, or there was when we left. Fortunately, where I go picking up, there isn't Which is just dying in the corner. There isn't any grouse about, sadly. But I will of course take you guys along with me for the journey in every way. So let me know if you just want to see a kennel tour. Let me know if you want me to tell you how that went, how the planning went, why I've designed it a certain way, why I've chosen what I've done. That could probably be my next video actually. But sorry for the waffle. I really hope that this doesn't come across super negative. Very, very grateful for the journey that we have had in the industry. I definitely want to say that. I'm just very disappointed in the way that it's ended, sadly. But I'm looking forward to still taking part in our way. Chris can go and enjoy all the good things that he loves about it now without, you know, he doesn't have to bother with the stuff he doesn't like, which is great. Hope that this has come across the way I want it to, and I hope I don't look back at it and think you should have waited another 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But people are asking, I know people are waiting, and I just wanted to get it over and done with and then move on. Quickly say though, thank you for all the support, whether it be here, Instagram, in person, friends and family, and anyone that has come across us in the industry and been part of our hugely positive journey up until the end. I do feel so grateful for everything that we have experienced, and I even feel grateful for it ending, which has surprised me so much. But I think because of the way it's ended, it's made me realize that I'm glad that we are not strapped to that now. But yeah, I hope people don't take this the wrong way. But yeah, see you guys later.